American Airlines saw technical issues this morning, and the FAA ordered a temporary ground stop. We'll get the latest out of Austin's International Airport and what it means for travelers. Plus, thousands of people could see a boost in their Social Security checks this year. What Congress decided to do for those in the public sector.
Good afternoon. We have the potential for some springtime storms this evening. We'll time it out in first warning weather.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Good afternoon and a happy holidays to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on KXAN. I'm Dylan McKim. Travelers trying to fly to their holiday destinations today may encounter some delays and some bad timing here. That's after a ground stop this morning of all American Airlines flights because of technical difficulties. Our Barrett Tryon has been at Austin International Airport all morning with updates. And Barrett, how are those boards looking now?
Well, so while that technical glitch, Dylan, has been fixed, there's running into a new problem for travelers, and that is some flight issues in and out of Dallas-Fort Worth, which of course is an American hub because of some weather there. To give you an idea of kind of what that looks like, a 7 a.m. flight this morning that was supposed to take off at 7, now scheduled for 4 o'clock this afternoon. I'm going to step out of the way just to kind of give you a live look at the check-in counters here at Austin Bergstrom International. This all started this morning around 6 o'clock. American Airlines actually asking the FAA to put a ground stop on all of its flights nationwide. It wrapped up in just about an hour, and it lifted just before 7 o'clock our time. Now we're learning it was an issue with one of the vendors that American uses. The airline says it was a technology issue that impacted systems, needed to let planes be able to leave that gate safely. Now, 8 departing flights were affected this morning, 2 incoming flights were delayed. Those numbers have gone up as the day has gone on, as we talk about. None of these flights, though, have been canceled, but since this also happened all over the country, it started to create that cascading ripple effect that we're talking about. So if you or somebody you know might be flying American today, there's a very good chance that they'll be dealing with a delay of some kind. The airline asks you to check its website or its mobile app for the latest on flights. Now, back out here live, the good news is lines are moving. There's no problem with security checkpoints or even some of these baggage drops behind us. The airlines in the airport reminding you to get here at least 2.5 hours for domestic flights and 3 hours for international. Will end up being a long travel day for a lot of people. For now, though, we're live at Austin Bergstrom International Airport. Barrett Tryon, KXAN News.
First warning weather.
All right, a big thanks to Barrett out there at the airport. Let's take a live look now, looking over downtown Austin. As we see, and Richie described it this morning, it's going to be a gray day.
Yes.
You're hitting that point correctly here as we see that live look of those gray clouds. But we're also tracking that, as Barrett mentioned, that those storms up in Dallas in the Fort Worth area. What can you tell us?
Well, you know, things haven't gotten much better in the last hour. Let me take you to the radar so that you can see what I'm talking about. We're still seeing lightning in the Dallas area this early afternoon, and still some flood warnings and watches in that area. A lot of rain still falling. So again, I believe that the ground stoppages are still in place there because of the lightning that continues to inundate that part of Dallas. And so they're going to be dealing with this for about another hour or so. I'm not sure, but I don't know what the rule is, that the criteria that they go by as to how long after the lightning strikes would they be able to fly. But nevertheless, I'm sure somebody does know that. But that's what's going on up there. What is going on down here are just a few very small, tiny rain showers that are continuing to lift from the south to the north. Most of this over Hayes, Travis, and Williamson counties. We're overcast across a good portion of our area with temperatures in the mid and upper 60s to low 70s to a mid 70s, 76 at Flatonia and 77 at LaGrange. Right now, Camp Mabry at 69. Out in the hill country, 67 at Burnett and also 63 at Fredericksburg. Dew points are higher this afternoon than they were 24 hours ago because of this moisture that is coming in off the Gulf, off of this south wind flow. Most speeds out to the west at around 5 to 10, off to the east around 10 to 15, with some gusts to around 20 miles an hour. The chance of rain today is just 20%, but tonight it goes up to 80% after 6 o'clock. We get a break Wednesday. This Wednesday night forecast is actually overnight as we start the day on Thursday to a 50% chance of showers and storms on Thursday afternoon. We will go hour by hour with you with the storm potential for tonight and also the risk areas for you coming up in first warning weather. Dylan?
Okay, thank you so much, Rich. We have new images this week from Austin police that show a person of interest in a homicide case out of southeast Austin. Saturday night, officers found the victim, who they've now identified as 34-year-old Mario Damian Reyes, in a vehicle with apparent gunshot wounds. This was near South Pleasant Valley Road and East Oldtorf Street. If you know anything about this case, you are asked to call the Austin Police Department or the Capital Area Crime Stoppers. Thousands of retired police officers, firefighters, and teachers across Texas could be getting a boost in their Social Security checks. Over the weekend, the U.S. Congress passed the Social Security Fairness Act. The bill eliminates two policies that reduce Social Security benefits for public servants. It affects people who are eligible for a government pension and Social Security, or whose spouse paid into the Social Security program. Proponents of the bill, like retired school paraprofessional Maggie Allen, say they are entitled to that money.
I worked for that money. I worked many years. My husband, that's what gets me, is they've taken so much of his benefit that he worked for.
Critics of the bill point out this will cost nearly $200 billion over the next decade and will decrease the time it will take before Social Security is insolvent. Right now, that's expected to happen in 2033. In Austin, more people are now able to access an alternative medicine. Ketamine has been shown to help with depression when other treatments fail. Our Sam Stark went to the Austin clinic that offers the drug.
At Mindful Health Solutions in Central Austin, the providers want their patients to feel relaxed and safe.
We'll prepare them for this experience, including kind of offering some guidance about how to navigate the experience, how to be with the experience.
If approved for ketamine treatment and after it's administered via IV or nasally, patients will relax in these rooms.
And then a client will have a journey that usually lasts about an hour. And I'll be checking in, monitoring for any needs.
People in Austin and around the country are coming to clinics like this for ketamine treatment to treat severe depressive symptoms. The Federal Drug Administration approved a ketamine nasal spray for treatment-resistant depression in 2019, but scientists have been aware of its effectiveness for decades.
We have about 25 years now of robust data that supports the use of this treatment in not only in depression, but in other conditions like PTSD, even bipolar disorder, OCD, and anxiety disorders.
Dr. Hernandez said anecdotally around 70% of his patients respond positively to the treatment. His clinic recently expanded due to a growing demand in Austin.
One of the areas actually where we do see a rapid response with ketamine is in suicide. Even within 24 hours of a treatment, suicide ideations either decrease in severity or they actually disappear.
Despite its effectiveness, Dr. Hernandez said the treatment is still considered to be alternative and not part of a standard care.
It should be part of the arsenal of psychiatric tools that we should have available for patients, right?
Educating both patients and clinicians about the treatment, a central part of the clinic's mission.
That's important for us to be able to educate the community, inform that we're available, and then allow the patient to make the informed decision to proceed or not with the treatment.
Sam Stark, KXAN News.
Mindful Health Solutions opened in Austin last year. Now, for some more insight, according to the Center for Drug Safety and Effectiveness, ketamine was developed as an anesthetic during the Vietnam War. It's used in medical settings for treatment-resistant depression. According to the Mayo Clinic, the benefits only last days or weeks, and doses decrease over time until a patient is potentially weaned off. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration says, quote, ketamine distorts the perception of sight and sound and makes the user feel disconnected and not in control. Yale Medicine says the drug can trigger the brain to form new connections, which research says could develop more positive thoughts. Well, last minute shoppers, there's a local spot open all day today to help you out. For 24 years, the Blue Genie Art Bazaar has showcased Austin artists and their goods. We want to note, earlier today, we told you they were open until 10 p.m. They're closing tonight at 6. So the bazaar is just off Airport, just north of Koenig Lane. Welcome into KXAN News at noon. We're looking live right now at Lakeway. As you can see, those gray clouds in the sky. Get used to that image for today. Rich Siegel's here. He's tracking your weather for your Christmas Eve night and your Christmas morning. Let's get into some news today, though, because fireworks from Spain, Mexico, Asia, and across the U.S. have arrived in North Texas. Crews are starting to prepare for the biggest fireworks show in the Southwest. Just like last year, Dallas will ring in the new year with a memorable fireworks and drone show at Reunion Tower. As Alicia Barrera shows us, the assembly of the fireworks is already happening.
Surrounded by an open field some 30 minutes south of downtown Dallas.
We don't like to store fireworks in the middle of a big city, so we're out here in Ennis.
Is the Pyrotechnico warehouse.
We are like a bunch of busy bees. Everyone knows what they're doing.
Where every wire,
about 8 feet is what we're trying to have.
Each tiny connector.
It's weatherproofing so it doesn't get no weather. I mean, no water, moisture in it.
And down to the labels.
It's just like a big puzzle.
Help make up the hundreds of firework holders.
Right here. So there's an angle of 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, and so on.
Each are essential for the Lone Star New Year's Eve celebration at Reunion Tower, which means you either have to be really good at math.
You want it to explode at the downbeat, so we've got to figure out how long it's going to take to leave the tube.
Or at following directions.
You miss one wire, everything's going to look choreographed except for that one piece that didn't go off.
This marks the first year Pyrotechnico is wiring and building the products in North Texas.
This fireworks show has always been prepped in Indiana. Our crew that's here building it is going to be the same crew that's on site putting everything up in the air.
Labor that totals more than 1,000 man-hours.
I think it's really a joy and a privilege to be able to be part of the show, even if you're not there the night that everything goes off.
And as part of their massive 10-minute firework display,
You want to practice with this one?
the team let me wire up part of the grand finale for December 31st.
Squeeze a little bit more, plug it in dead center,
And then push it in.
and then push it in. That's it.
Outside, the team puts each connection to the test to ensure a seamless and bright ringing in for the new year.
100%. First try.
All right, we got some time before New Year's Eve in that fireworks show, but let's take a look at something a little more pressing and track where Santa is busy right now as he's making his way across the world to drop off some presents. Of course, you know, they're on the eastern part of our world over there in the other part of the hemisphere. We are seeing Santa already making his deliveries. He's over an ocean right now. We're just told that he has just left Somalia. He's on his way to, where is he going, Rich?
The Seychelles.
Seychelles Islands.
Seychelles.
So if you have family over there and they're still awake, tell them to get to sleep because he's about to make inbound on Seychelles in about a minute. So that's where Santa's going. Is Santa going to have a smooth ride coming into to Austin area,
I believe
to Texas?
so.
Yeah,
You know,
weather-wise?
some of the area may still be getting a little bit of rain this evening by the time Santa arrives. But I think he'll be able to do everything that he needs to do, and it'll be in and out in record time.
Okay, good.
That's what I'm hoping for. All right, let's go to High Texas, where the Covington Sellers view is showing, again, what we're seeing on all of our camera views this afternoon. And that's just an overcast sky, again, with those very, very small showers that are moving from the south to the north. Now, as I mentioned with Avery a little while ago, we are a little humid today because the dew points are in the 50s and some 60s, but with the front that's coming through tonight, we will drop back into dew points in the 50s tomorrow into Wednesday. There'll be a little bit of a brief increase by the time we get to Thursday, where we find more rain. And then another front drops us back into the comfortable range for the end of the week and on into the weekend. There's the front that's going to create the next change in our weather. It has recently passed both Abilene and San Angelo, and it's moving slowly towards the east and gets in here later on this afternoon. By 6 o'clock, I've got the front plotted along the Travis, Williamson, Burnett County line down into the Blanco area. Showers and a few thunderstorms perhaps out ahead of it at 6. By 8 o'clock, we're seeing more of that rain increase in aerial coverage, and maybe also a little bit of the intensity increases as well, so that by 9 o'clock, we've got some thunderstorms perhaps active from Rockdale down through Lexington on into Page and McDade, and further from southwest of Bastrop on to north of Lockhart and down into the San Marcos area. By 10 o'clock, the storms are starting to get a little bigger and a little more intense from Caldwell into Bastrop and on into Lee and Milam counties. And then by 11 o'clock, we see most of the stormy weather across parts of eastern Bastrop, southern Lee into into Fayette County, and then 1 hour later, the storms are about to leave Fayette County. We may see some lingering rain in Milam and Williamson counties, and then by 2 o'clock it's done. Tomorrow morning, we'll start out with a mostly cloudy sky, and then we'll see gradual clearing with sunshine for the hill country, and that clearing may only get to as far to the east as I-35. Higher rain totals will come to our southeast, not much in the Austin area, and certainly not much out in the hill country. And again, this is the important part of this forecast, is the slight risk for severe weather. Let's just say it's from I-35 eastward for a potential this evening and tonight for some hail up to 1 inch in diameter and possible wind gusts. But according to what we're seeing here, the main threat is going to come from hail. Another front, another round of rain on Thursday will linger into the early part of the evening. And then for now, there are still low rain chances in your forecast for Friday into Saturday morning. And then Saturday afternoon and Sunday are going to be dry and bright, and already a slight risk for some severe weather on Thursday, primarily for Lee and Milam counties, with a section of northern Fayette, eastern Bastrop, and far eastern Williamson counties as well. Today, a 20% chance of rain this afternoon, high 76, 80% this evening, this after 6 o'clock until about midnight to 2 a.m. 53 in the morning. That'll be a whole lot better than what we've had the past 2 mornings because we'll have a north wind. 68 tomorrow with sunshine breaking out during the afternoon. 71 on Thursday with that 50% chance of rain. And there are your low rain chances Friday and Saturday. Highs back in the lower to mid 70s and will be in the mid to upper 70s on Sunday, and some get to the 80s on Monday.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu testified today in his trial for alleged corruption, the first sitting Israeli leader to take the stand as a criminal defendant. This as negotiations for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas militants continue, with some progress reported. NBC's Hala Gorani reports from Beirut.
It was the 6th day of testimony for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in his corruption trial in Israel. The Israeli Prime Minister denying that he extended benefits to companies in exchange for favors, including some positive media coverage in one particular website in Israel. The 6th day of testimony because a judge a few weeks ago ruled that Benjamin Netanyahu would have to testify at least 3 days a week in the trial in which he is accused of corruption on multiple fronts. As a result, he has had to juggle his responsibilities as prime minister with defending himself in a court of law. The prime minister's popularity has continued to remain low across the country, with certainly over 50% of Israelis polled since October 7th saying that they do not believe that he is a popular prime minister and do not believe that he is performing his duties, especially when it comes to securing a deal that would get Israeli hostages released and would bring the war in Gaza to an end. And this is all happening as multiple sources are saying that a deal, that particular deal in Gaza, is actually nearing. It would be a 3-phased deal, with a first phase that would involve the release of live hostages, about 40 or so live hostages from Gaza, in exchange for a certain number of Palestinian prisoners. And this couldn't come soon enough for the people in Gaza. More than 45,000 people now killed, and a lot of the Gaza Strip completely destroyed, and the families of those hostages waiting for their loved ones in Israel. Hala Gorani, NBC News, Beirut.
Researchers in Siberia are conducting tests on a juvenile mammoth whose remarkably well-preserved remains were discovered in thawing permafrost after more than 50,000 years. The creature, resembling a small elephant with a trunk, was recovered from the Bat-Agika crater, a huge depression more than 260 feet deep, which is widening as a result of climate change. The body weighs more than 240 pounds and was brought to the surface on an improvised stretcher. Researchers say the mammoth was probably a little over a year old when it died, but tests would enable the scientists to confirm this more accurately. It is the latest of a series of discoveries in the Russian permafrost. Last month, scientists in the same northeastern region showed off the 32,000-year-old remains of a tiny saber-toothed cat cub, while earlier this year, a 44,000-year-old wolf carcass was uncovered.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Chaos at a mall west of Houston with shots fired during one of the busiest days leading up to Christmas, and law enforcement still looking for the person responsible. According to Katy Police, it happened at one of the entrances of the Katy Mills Mall. Initially, the call came in as a potential active shooter, prompting multiple law enforcement agencies to respond. Police later said 2 people fled the scene. It's not known why the suspect fired the shots or whether anyone was targeted. Luigi Mangione made his first appearance in a New York court just days after he was extradited from Pennsylvania. He's accused of killing the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson.
How do you plead to this indictment, sir? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Mangione pled not guilty to 11 charges, including murder and terrorism. The state charges against Mangione could get him life in prison, but the federal murder charges could result in the death penalty. President-elect Donald Trump's first pick to lead the Department of Justice is now the center of a sex scandal. A House Ethics Committee report released this week accuses former Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of regularly paying for sex with women and doing illicit drugs. Our Washington correspondent Raquel Martin takes a closer look at that report.
Just days before Christmas, and while Congress is out, the House Ethics Committee drops a bombshell. A new 42-page report accuses former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz of paying tens of thousands of dollars to women, likely for sex and drugs, including to a 17-year-old girl. The findings are based on nearly 3 years of evidence, including text messages, financial records, and travel receipts. The bipartisan House panel interviewed more than a dozen witnesses. In the report, they write Gaetz, quote, violated House rules and other standards of conduct, prohibiting prostitution, statutory rape, and illicit drug use. Gaetz calls the release of the report a smear. He and his allies on Capitol Hill argue because he is no longer in Congress, the panel did not have the jurisdiction to publish the investigation.
I think that's extremely hypocritical.
Just a month ago, Gaetz was selected as the president-elect's top choice to lead the Department of Justice. The report underscores Senate Republicans' pushback. In the end, Gaetz withdrew his nomination, he and Trump agreeing the Senate confirmation process had become a distraction.
I wanted quite badly to be your next Attorney General, and to be nominated by President Trump for that position was indeed the honor of my professional life.
It's unclear what the future holds for Gaetz. He recently announced he'd be taking an anchor role at a broadcast network. One Democrat on the House panel defending the release of the report said it contains important information voters, employers should already know.
First warning weather.
Let's take a live look now overlooking downtown Austin. We got some blue sky trying to peek through those clouds here, but it's been mostly a really gray and dreary day here. Rich Siegel is joining us now. And Rich, you're tracking all the weather leading up to Christmas tomorrow.
Indeed, I am. Right now, things are rather quiet across the region, but some of you may get awakened this evening by some thunder with the thunderstorms that are coming. But right now, things are rather tranquil, albeit with this overcast sky. We may be seeing a little more sunshine near I-70 or Highway 77 in Lee and Fayette counties, where we're also seeing a little bit of light rain that is moving through far eastern Lee counties. We've seen just these very small little rain showers this morning. That's about it, but we do know that things are going to change. Temperatures in the hill country in the low 60s, in Gillespie County, the upper 60s to a few low 70s in the rest of the hills. As we take a look at metro temperatures, upper 60s to lower 70s, 71 right now at Taylor, 73 at San Marcos. And as we check out our friends in the east, we're already in the upper 70s, 79 right now at LaGrange. So yes, there is a little more sunshine there, 78 at Flatonia and Muldoon, even 78 degrees at this hour at Cedar Creek. Up in Milam County, temperatures are mostly in the lower half of the 70s. For the afternoon, it's a 10% chance of rain at 1 o'clock, and then the rain chance goes up to 20% during the mid to late afternoon, and then those numbers go up as we get further into tonight, and we'll track that for you. We'll go again hour by hour with the potential for strong storms tonight when we return in just a few minutes. Dylan?
Thank you very much, Rich. Okay, if you've been scrambling around to get those last-minute holiday gifts and found yourself shopping local here, Here's some good news for you. 70 cents out of every dollar you spent went back into our economy. That's according to the City of Austin's Economic Development Department. But when holiday spending dies down, KXAN's Grace Reader shows us how the City of Austin is doing work behind the scenes to keep those local businesses afloat.
Several hours before Blue Suede on South First Street opened up Friday, it looked like this. A small business started by Cynthia McMillan and her best friend. The shop sells the pair's favorite things, wine and shoes. But we were out of here well before her daily holiday rush.
We've been hosting a lot of events in our lounge space, and we've been pretty busy with gift certificates and Christmas shopping. It's been a lot of fun.
The City of Austin has quite a few programs that support small businesses like this one. Perhaps even more important when the holiday hustle and bustle is done. That includes everything from coaching to funding help.
Providing the wages that are necessary, the workforce that is necessary, and the tools and programs that are necessary to make sure that our economy and our labor and our people are provided a quality of life that make complete communities across the City of Austin.
One of the most recent programs passed by Austin City Council just a few months ago, called the Place-Based Enhancement Program. That helps small businesses, in part, with affordable spaces to operate out of.
Currently still under development with an intended launch in March, and we are expected to do a series of workshops over the next few months, which is intended to inform the public of how this program is intended to roll out.
As for you, the shopper, while you may be done with holiday shopping now, folks like McMillan hope you'll keep small businesses in mind moving forward.
I think small businesses really represent the heart of Austin. We're getting a lot of influx of the bigger companies coming in, and to keep the spirit of Austin, the true spirit of Austin alive, I think shopping local is huge.
Grace Reader, KXAN News.
Going in depth on this, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce counts more than 33 million small businesses in the country. They make up 99% of all businesses. For the past 20 years, the Chamber has said small businesses account for roughly 40% of the United States gross domestic output. Well, about 75,000 people came to the city of Bee Cave during the holiday season. By comparison, its population is around 9,000. The Hill Country Galleria accounts for a huge part of that crowd. We talked to the Bee Cave Police Department, which covers the mall to prevent retail theft and car burglaries. Those are two of the most common calls officers get during the holidays. Shoppers are likely to see officers riding around the Galleria on bikes.
This is a great tool, being on the bike. It lets us interact with everybody from the businesses to citizens that are shopping or lost. I've ran into multiple people who just needed guidance on where to go.
While the Bee Cave Police Department says it does have the flexibility to be proactive, the department still needs more officers. You can find information about open positions on our website at KXAN.com. Well, going in depth on retail theft across the country, according to a Motorola survey of more than 1,000 retail workers, nearly half have experienced hostile customer interactions, and more than 20% say first responders get called to their stores at least once a week. Here in Texas, lawmakers are working on ways to combat retail theft. Right now, theft under $100 is only a citation offense. Sometimes dozens of people organize to steal a small amount, and they each just get tickets if they're caught at all. Lawmakers are considering raising the penalties and lowering the monetary thresholds to put these thieves in jail. And unfortunately, there is even more to worry about when it comes to gift cards. Earlier this year, a KXAN producer received a gift card, but before they got to use it, someone else had already activated the card and stolen most of the card's value. One solution at some stores, locking pegs. They let you buy the card, but you can't return it to the peg. That way, someone can't obtain the barcode information, but put it back on the rack, then redeem the gift card after you've already paid for it.
That provides a customer an easy way to obtain a gift card without the assistance of associates, but additional security in place as well.
In 2023, the Federal Trade Commission says card draining and other gift card related fraud made up $217 million of the $10 billion in money lost from scams nationwide. Well, if you're feeling under the weather, the medicine you reach for first may not work. U.S. officials are moving to phase out a leading decongestant, concluding that it doesn't actually relieve nasal congestion. It's called phenelpharin, and it's found in hundreds of over-the-counter medicines. So what does work?
So when people are looking for alternative remedies to oral phenylephrine, there is something called pseudoephedrine, which we call commonly Sudafed, or often contained in association with allergy medications like Claritin D or Allegra D.
Despite the FDA's conclusion, medications with phenylephrine will remain on the shelves for now. The FDA has a 6-month window for public comment on their proposal to remove the drug, and drug makers get another year to change their formulas. Well, it's a controversial time to decide which holiday movies are the best. We found a poll from HubScore detailing the most popular Christmas movies according to each state. In Texas, we have the top 5. Rich, give me a little bit of a drum roll here. Let's put that list up here. In 5th place, Xmas, which we have learned what that is today. Then the first Home Alone comes in 4th. In 3rd, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Number 2 is Home Alone 2. And number 1, the most popular Christmas movie here in the Lone Star State, is A Christmas Carol, which we don't know if it's the original Christmas Carol or the Jim Carrey Christmas Carol. But the real question is, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Number 4.
Number 4,
Home
Alone.
The first Home Alone.
Yeah. Why is it such a classic for you?
This is so funny.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, I laughed a whole lot.
I'll be honest, I like the second one more, just because I think the way he tortures them at the end is way better in the second one than it is in the first one.
I may have to see the second one. I don't think I ever saw it.
Oh, Rich,
usually
go see the second one.
On Christmas Day, I'm watching basketball.
Okay.
Or hockey, or whatever sporting event may happen to be on at the time. All right, ready for the forecast?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Overcast to mostly cloudy this afternoon. A low chance of rain. 76 will be about as high as we get today, which is 13 above 13 above normal. Cold front comes in tonight. Ahead of it, showers and storms. A severe risk east of I-35. North winds after the front passes 53 in the morning. Morning clouds clear to a mostly sunny to partly cloudy sky for most areas on Christmas Day with a high of 68. And then we've got a 50% chance of rain Thursday, lower rain chance Friday into Saturday morning. But unseasonably warm temperatures to end the year. It looks like some 80s in the area on Monday and possibly on New Year's Eve as well.
Not the best news there. Very hot here, but it's a Texas Christmas. I didn't get to mention my favorite Christmas movie.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which I think redefined how parents have their kids take pictures. Instead of with Santa, now it's with the Grinch.
I think the Grinch is stealing Christmas with his weather forecast.
He's doing a good job, right?
Warm weather.
I know. We can wear shorts and
Hey,
short
Merry
sleeves.
Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you as well, and happy holidays to everyone at home. Thank you so much for joining us here at KXAN News at noon. Enjoy the time with your family. Have safe and happy holidays.